Hello everyone, my name is Misi Latu and today we will be covering the origin of Rogue from the X-Men. She's one of my favorite superheroes because we can all easily relate and identify with her struggle to simply be normal. The comic book selected is the classic X-Men issue number 44 with the story Her First and Last by writer Ann Nocenti. Before covering Rogue, we must tidy up some background. In 1963, writer Stan Lee and artist Jack Kirby introduced the world to Marvel Comics X-Men. The original team consisted of Angel, Beast, Cyclops, Iceman, and Marvel Girl. I discovered X-Men in the early 1990s on Saturday morning cartoons. It fueled my childhood with fantastic fantasies that I too have a genetic anomaly with my mutant powers latent and will reveal itself when most needed, and I am still waiting. In 1981, created by Chris Claremont, Rogue was introduced as a villain in Adventures Annual number 10. Over the year, her background can be filled in. She was born in Mississippi as Anna Marie. Her parents were living in a commune where they were trying to live away from modern society. Something happened to her mother, resulting in her aunt raising her. Her home life was difficult and she rebelled. She ran away from home and was picked up by the mutant Mystique, who was recruiting new members for its version of the Brotherhood of Mutants. This leads us to the story Her First and Last, written by Ann Nocenti. Before that, I must mention that the classic X-Men series launched in 1986 is an example of reprinting old X-Men comic issues and stories, in a way of introducing new readers to the franchise. They not only reprinted old stories, but each reprinted issue came with a newly written story set in the original era of the reprint. Events depicted in the backup stories were then retroactively integrated into the ongoing X-Men continuity. In Classic X-Men 44, the reprinted story is Elegy, written by Chris Claremont, with the newly written story of Her First and Last by Ann Nocenti. Consisting of 10 pages in the comic book, Her First and Last tells of how Rogue's power manifested itself. She was flirting with a neighborhood boy named Freddy. He attempted to kiss her, but was unsuccessful because Rogue easily threw him over her shoulders. He laughed, saying, "Kissing is fun." Before leaving her, he asks to meet him later at the cliff. Rogue, playing hard to get, turns her back and says no, and instructs Freddy to leave. Mystique, seeing this, warned her to stay away from him and that she needs to save her powers to help on an upcoming important mission. Rogue, being the rebellious teenager she is, throws a tantrum and runs off crying and yelling. She doesn't want to go on any mission. All she wants to be is normal, and there is nothing more important to her. Rogue runs off to meet Freddy by the cliff. There is an old rope tied to a branch on a tree at the edge of the cliff. Freddy tells her to be careful that only boys swing on it on a dare. Rogue tugs on the rope and launches off the side of the cliff, hanging upside down, urging Freddy to save her. Freddy catches her and sweeps her off her feet, and with his lips puckering for a kiss. She quickly blocks his attempt. Freddy, frustrated, asks her why not. "You take risks everywhere else." The devilish and desperate Freddy dares her to kiss him. Rogue thinks about it, lets her guard down, and goes in for the kiss. During the romantic encounter, her power to absorb powers and memories of victims reared its ugly head. By simply touching her lips to Freddy's lips, in an instant, all of Freddy's past experiences flooded her. Stories that he would have told her slowly in time were crammed into one moment. All his flaws, lies, desires, and hopes were now hers in that split second. Her kiss left him in a coma-like state. Rogue breaks down in tears, yearning for what she can never have. She tells herself, this is not and never will be love. That a kiss may be a gentle thing for others, but not for her. She continues to cry, mourning the normal life she will never have. She allows time for Freddie to gain his life and memories back before running home. She gathers herself before entering the house, happy as if nothing happened. She was now looking forward to the important mission she had declined earlier. This is where the story ended in the classic X-Men number 44. I do believe the important mission was Rogue and Mystique going after Miss Marvel in order to steal her powers. However, when Rogue encountered Miss Marvel, she leeches so much of her power that the exchange becomes permanent, leaving Miss Marvel a shell of herself. With her newly gained powers, she was used by Mystique as a weapon against other mutants. During her reign of terror, she accumulated an overwhelming amount of psychic fragments from the victims that she's absorbed, including the lingering presence of the real Miss Marvel, still in her head. Mystique is not sympathetic towards her and doesn't care that she's coping with this. So Rogue realizes that she has nowhere else to turn but to the most powerful telepathic on Earth, Professor Xavier. Rogue shows up on the doorsteps of the professor's mansion. Professor X talks to Rogue and decides to not only take her into the school of gifted, but also let her work on the X-Men as a probationary member and eventually a permanent member of the team. Rogue's story follows Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey perfectly. Rogue loses her mother and was forced into living a situation that she doesn't like. Her decision to run away is her call to adventure. She meets her helper Mystique that helps her hone her powers through challenges. Rogue hits rock bottom when haunted by her victim she's absorbed. Her seeking help from Professor Xavier is her transformation. She atones for her mistakes by joining the X-Men in their cause. Thank you for listening.